Hey everyone, this is Scott from Forgot to Grow Podcast. Welcome to another edition of ReWatching a series of unfortunate events. Today I'm talking about Season 2, Episode 4, the Ersatz Elevator Part 2. I have no idea if I said that right. Anyways, I just finished rewatching this episode, and again, I really enjoyed this episode because of this book in particular, and just because of the events that unfold in this episode, or over the course of these two episodes associated with this book, which is just the hijinks of Olaf and now his new accomplice Esme, which I forgot in the last one, which I had actually written down, but I forgot that I had written down as a note. But yes, Esme, we find out in this episode that she has been working with Olaf all along because Olaf is her former acting coach, and we see her kind of reveal this as she pushes the orphans, that's the Baudelaire orphans, that is, down the elevator shaft, luckily to a net to catch them. But yeah, that was kind of a fun reveal. I really like Esme's character. I like that. I believe the show, unlike the books, but I'm not sure about this, Esme's character continues to show up along with Olaf. I don't remember if in the books or if she continues to show up or not, if she had joined Olaf's troop or not. But I like that in the show she does, and that she pops up a couple more times. I'm excited for the next season to see her a little bit more. But yeah, I really enjoy that character. She's just a fun, wacky character. Just it's a fun time to have on screen, and just the balance of her kind of having certain desires for Olaf, that Olaf's kind of just using her for playing on her feelings to use her for what he needs. But that's Olaf for you. But yeah, some of the things I like in this, at one point Esme's character actually said Beatriz stole from me, which I was like, oh, Beatriz, that's the one that left Lemony Snicket. That's interesting. Is she the one who stole the sugar bowl? Because at one point we find out during this episode also from the librarian and Jacques Snicket that the sugar bowl was Esme's. I can't remember the specifics other than that it was stolen from Esme, and that she's upset about it. I don't know if that's just it. They also ramble off, 3 civil suits, a murder, a fire, and some other things. But I just thought I really enjoyed this different elements of this episode, because it's a lot of I don't know if the right word is myth building or world building. We get a lot of the background, and not a lot of the background. We get a lot of little bits of the background to it. And the orphans, the Baudelaire orphans, seem to start being on their way. They got a few little bits of information from the Quagmires when they reunited before they had to separate again, and they started to get a little bit more information along the way. So that was I'm just really enjoying that. I like as they learn a little bit more about this secret stuff. Some other stuff I had written down about. Oh, I like that Sonny tricks the henchman with the claw again, or the troop member with the claw. I like that it's kind of a running bit that he can actually understand Sonny, and that he keeps falling for her, baby shenanigans. And I just always like that she's clever enough to get around him, and it's just funny. It's just a little funny thing that I noticed in this. We had a few more pops. We had VOFD pop up a couple times in this episode. We're not on the side of a box, but in this case that stood for very fancy doilies, which I just always love those little curveballs. That's the word I was looking for. Curveballs. They'll just throw you some way. In this case, a red herring that they throw you, whereas you think it's going to be one thing, it's actually a different one. And I just really enjoy that element of this, and I remember that element from the book in particular, so really enjoyed that. And at the end, the orphans are being sent off to a town called VFD, which I vaguely remember that stands for something with a fowl in it because it's bird related. We'll get to those next episodes to learn what exactly that stands for. Oh, and the last thing I had written down, this was before that, but the orphans found the tunnels that Olaf has been using, and that we see Snicket walking around in while he's narrating a lot, and I like that. But I also don't like that they didn't think to try and use them again. They didn't notice some of the signs that there's on the walls pointing other things. They just took it. They only think it goes from their place to the hotel. They didn't really put together that it probably goes more places. So I can't remember if they do end up exploring that more later in this season or potentially next season, but I'm excited to find out if they do kind of explore that a little bit more, because that seems like a very useful tool that they in particular could use as children who can't drive or anything, who need to escape a lot. They could definitely definitely use those tunnels every once in a while, so they should maybe learn a little more about it. But yeah, that's everything I had written down for this episode in particular. Be sure to let me know in the comments below if I got anything wrong about the connection between the book and this episode, or anything you liked about this episode, or the connection to the book in particular, or anything you didn't like. And thanks again for joining me today, and have a good one.